Hey there, welcome back. So today is March 1st, actually. It's been quite a while since I've made one of these videos. So, not this past weekend, but 2 weekends ago, we had a family wedding, which was awesome. And then this past week, my husband and I went on a trip for our anniversary, which was great as well. So it's been a really long time since I've been on here, but we've been having a good time since. And just with all of the things going on, it's been, by the time in the day that I've gotten to sit down and read the Bible out loud, it's just been too late to make a video. So it wasn't really feasible over the past week to sit down and do one of these, and I've been able to keep up with some of the readings, but not all of them. So just for completeness sake, and for the sake of anybody following along with these videos or watching in the future, I'm going to go back and pick up where we left off. So we're going to read in Leviticus chapter 19 today, and just pick up and go forward. So you may see a couple of videos posted on the same day that aren't for that day, and I'm probably going to backdate the videos in terms of what I put in the title on the video. So don't think I'm trying to be deceitful or anything. I'm just trying to help people keep up with what reading was for what day and all of that. So anyway, I'm going to get started with Leviticus chapter 19, and I think we're going to read through chapter 21. Okay, so I'm actually going to correct myself. I just looked, and I'm actually going to read through chapter 23 today. So here we go with Leviticus chapter 19, starting in verse 1, and we're going to read through chapter 23. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Speak to the Israelite community and tell them, 'Be holy, because I, the Lord your God, am holy.' Each of you is to respect his mother and father. You are to keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Do not turn to idols or make cast images of gods for yourselves. I am the Lord your God. When you offer a fellowship sacrifice to the Lord, sacrifice it so that you may be accepted. It is to be eaten on the day you sacrifice it, or on the next day, but what remains on the third day must be burned up. If any is eaten on the third day, it is a repulsive thing. It will not be accepted. Anyone who eats it will bear his punishment, for he has profaned what is holy to the Lord. That person must be cut off from his people. When you reap the harvest of your land, you are not to reap to the very edge of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You must not strip your vineyard bare, or gather its fallen grapes. Leave them for the poor and the foreign resident. I am the Lord your God. You must not steal. You must not act deceptively or lie to one another. You must not swear falsely by my name, profaning the name of your God. I am Yahweh. You must not oppress your neighbor or rob him. The wages due a hired man must not remain with you until morning. You must not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block in front of the blind, but you are to fear the Lord your God. I am the Lord. You must not act unjustly when deciding a case. Do not be partial to the poor or give preference to the rich. Judge your neighbor fairly. You must not go about spreading slander among your people. You must not jeopardize your neighbor's life. I am the Lord. You must not harbor hatred against your brother. Rebuke your neighbor directly, and you will not incur guilt because of him. Do not take revenge or bear a grudge against members of your community, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. You are to keep my statutes. You must not crossbreed two different kinds of your livestock, sow your fields with two kinds of seed, or put a garment made of two kinds of material. If a man has sexual intercourse with a woman who is a slave designated for another man, but she has not been redeemed or given her freedom, there must be punishment. They are not to be put to death because she has not been freed. However, he must bring a ram as his restitution offering to the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The priest will make atonement on his behalf before the Lord with the ram of the restitution offering for the sin he has committed, and he will be forgiven for the sin he committed. When you come into the land and plant any kind of tree or food, you are to consider the fruit forbidden. It will be forbidden to you for 3 years. It is not to be eaten. In the 4th year, all its fruit must be consecrated as a praise offering to the Lord. But in the 5th year, you may eat its fruit. In this way, its yield will increase for you. I am the Lord your God. You are not to eat anything with blood in it. You are not to practice divination or sorcery. You are not to cut off the hair at the sides of your head or mar the edge of your beard. You are not to make gashes on your bodies for the dead, or put tattoo marks on yourselves. I am the Lord. Do not debase your daughter by making her a prostitute, or the land will be prostituted and filled with depravity. You must keep my Sabbaths and revere my sanctuary. I am the Lord. Do not turn to mediums or consult spiritists, for you will be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God. You are to rise in the presence of the elderly and honor the old. Fear your God. I am the Lord. When a foreigner lives with you in your land, you must not oppress him. You must regard the foreigner who lives with you as the native born among you. You are to love him as yourself, for you were foreigners in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. You must not be unfair in measurements of length, weight, or volume. You are to have honest balances, honest weights, an honest dry measure, and an honest liquid measure. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You must keep all my statutes and all my ordinances, and do them. I am the Lord. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Say to the Israelites, any Israelite or foreigner living in Israel who gives any of his children to Molech must be put to death. The people of the country are to stone him. I will turn against the man and cut him off from his people, because he gave his offspring to Molech, defiling my sanctuary and profaning my holy name. But if the people of the country look the other way when the man gives any of his children to Molech, and do not put him to death, then I will turn against that man and his family, and cut off from their people both him and all who follow him in prostituting themselves with Molech. Whoever turns to mediums or spiritists and prostitutes himself with them, I will turn against that person and cut him off from his people. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, for I am the Lord your God. Keep my statutes and do them. I am the Lord who sets you apart. If anyone curses his father or mother, he must be put to death. He has cursed his father or mother. His blood is on his own hands. If a man commits adultery with a married woman, if he commits adultery with his neighbor's wife, both the adulterer and the adulteress must be put to death. If a man sleeps with his father's wife, he has shamed his father. Both of them must be put to death. Their blood is on their own hands. If a man sleeps with his daughter-in-law, both of them must be put to death. They have acted perversely. Their blood is on their own hands. If a man sleeps with a man as with a woman, they have both committed a detestable thing. They must be put to death. Their blood is on their own hands. If a man marries a woman and her mother, it is depraved. Both he and they must be burned with fire, so that there will be no depravity among you. If a man has sexual intercourse with an animal, he must be put to death. You are also to kill the animal. If a woman comes near any animal and mates with it, you are to kill the woman and the animal. They must be put to death. Their own blood is on them. If a man marries his sister, whether his father's daughter or his mother's daughter, and they have sexual relations, it is a disgrace. They must be cut off publicly from their people. He has had sexual intercourse with his sister. He will bear his punishment. If a man sleeps with a menstruating woman and has sexual intercourse with her, he has exposed the source of her flow, and she has uncovered the source of her blood. Both of them must be cut off from their people. You must not have sexual intercourse with your mother's sister or your father's sister, for it is exposing one's blood relative. Both people will bear the punishment. If a man sleeps with his aunt, he has shamed his uncle. They will bear their guilt and die childless. If a man marries his brother's wife, it is impurity. He has shamed his brother. They will be childless. You are to keep all my statutes and all my ordinances, and do them so that the land where I am bringing you to live will not vomit you out. You must not follow the statutes of the nation I am driving out before you, for they did all these things, and I aborted them. And I promised you, you will inherit their land, since I will give it to you to possess, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God, who set you apart from the peoples. Therefore you must distinguish the clean animal from the unclean one, and the unclean bird from the clean one. Do not become contaminated by any land animal, bird, or whatever crawls on the ground. I have set these apart as unclean for you. You are to be holy to me, because I, the Lord, am holy, and I have set you apart from the nations to be mine. A man or a woman who is a medium or a spiritist must be put to death. They are to be stoned. Their blood is on their own hands. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to Aaron's sons, the priests, and tell them, a priest is not to make himself ceremonially unclean for a dead person among his relatives, except for his immediate family, his mother, father, son, daughter, or brother. He may make himself unclean for his young unmarried sister in his immediate family. He is not to make himself unclean for those related to him by marriage, and so defile himself. Priests may not make bald spots on their heads, shave the edge of their beards, or make gashes on their bodies. They are to be holy to their God, and not profane the name of their God. For they present fire offerings to Yahweh, the food of their God, and they must be holy. They are not to marry a woman defiled by prostitution. They are not to marry one divorced by her husband, for the priest is holy to his God. You are to consider him holy, since he presents the food of your God. He will be holy to you, because I, the Lord, who set you apart, am holy. If a priest's daughter defiles herself by promiscuity, she defiles her father. She must be burned up. The priest who is highest among his brothers, who has had the anointing oil poured on his head and has been ordained to wear the garments, must not dishevel his hair or tear his garments. He must not go near any dead person or make himself unclean, even for his father or mother. He must not leave the sanctuary, or he will desecrate the sanctuary of his God, for the consecration of the anointing oil of his God is on him. I am the Lord. He is to marry a woman who is a virgin. He is not to marry a widow, a divorced woman, or one defiled by prostitution. He is to marry a virgin from his own people, so that he does not corrupt his bloodline among his people, for I am the Lord who sets him apart. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell Aaron, none of your descendants throughout your generations who has a physical defect is to come near to the priest, come near to present the food of his God. No man who has any defect is to come near. No man who is blind, lame, facially disfigured, or deformed. No man who has a broken foot or hand, or who is a hunchback or a dwarf, or who has an eye defect, a festering rash, scabs, or a crushed testicle. No descendant of Aaron, the priest, who has a deficit is to come near and to present the fire offerings to the Lord. He has a defect and is not to come near to present the food of his God. He may eat the food of his God from what is especially holy, as well as from what is holy. But because he has a defect, he must not go near the curtain or approach the altar. He is not to desecrate my sanctuaries, for I am the Lord who sets them apart." Moses said this to Aaron and his sons, and to all the Israelites. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell Aaron and his sons to deal respectfully with the holy offerings of the Israelites that they have consecrated to me, so that they do not profane my holy name. I am Yahweh. Say to them, if any man from any of your descendants throughout your generations is in a state of uncleanness, yet approaches the holy offerings that the Israelites consecrate to the Lord, that person will be cut off from my presence. I am the Lord. No man of Aaron's descendants who has a skin disease or a discharge is to eat from the holy offerings until he is clean. Whoever touches anything made unclean by a dead person, or by a man who has an emission of semen, or whoever touches any swarming creature that makes him unclean, or any person who makes him unclean, whatever his uncleanness, the man who touches any of these will remain unclean until evening, and is not to eat from the holy offerings unless he has bathed his body with water. When the sun has set, he will become clean, and then he may eat from the holy offerings, for that is his food. He must not eat an animal that died naturally or was mauled by wild beasts, making himself unclean by it. I am the Lord. They must keep my instruction, or they will be guilty and die because they profane it. I am the Lord who sets them apart. No one outside the priest's family is to eat the holy offering. The foreigner staying with a priest or a hired hand is not to eat the holy offering. But if a priest purchases someone with his money, that person may eat it, and those born in his household may eat his food. If the priest's daughter is married to a man outside a priest's family, she is not to eat from the holy contributions. But if the priest's daughter becomes widowed or divorced, has no children, and returns to her father's house, as in her youth, she may share her father's food. But no outsider may share it. If anyone eats a holy offering in error, he must add a fifth to its value, and give the holy offering to the priest. The priest must not profane the holy offerings the Israelites give to the Lord by letting the people eat their holy offerings and having them bear the penalty for restitution. For I am the Lord who sets them apart. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Speak to Aaron, his sons, and all the Israelites, and tell them, Any man of the house of Israel or of the foreign residents in Israel who presents his offering, whether they present freewill gifts or payment of vows to the Lord as burnt offerings, they must offer an unblemished male from the cattle, sheep, or goats in order for you to be accepted. You are not to present anything that has a defect, because it will not be accepted on your behalf. When a man presents a fellowship sacrifice to the Lord to fulfill a vow, or as a freewill offering from the herd or flock, it has to be unblemished to be acceptable. There must be no defect in it. You are not to present any animal to the Lord that is blind, injured, maimed, or has a running sore, festering rash, or scabs. You may not put any of them on the altar as a fire offering to the Lord. You may sacrifice as a freewill offering any animal from the herd or flock that has an elongated or stunted limb, but it is not acceptable as a vow offering. You are not to present to the Lord anything that has bruised, crushed, torn, or severed testicles. You may not sacrifice them in your land. Neither you nor a foreigner are to present food to your God from any of these animals. They will not be accepted for you because they are deformed and have a defect. The Lord spoke to Moses, "When an ox, a sheep, or goat is born, it must remain with its mother for 7 days. From the 8th day on, it will be acceptable as a gift, a fire offering from the Lord. But you are not to slaughter an animal from the herd or flock on the same day as its young. When you sacrifice a thank offering to the Lord, sacrifice it so that you may be accepted. It is to be eaten on the same day. Do not let any of it remain until morning. I am the Lord. You are to keep my commands and do them. I am Yahweh. You must not profane my name, my holy name. I must be treated as holy among the Israelites. I am the Lord who set you apart, the one who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am the Lord." The Lord spoke to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, these are my appointed times, the times of the Lord that you will proclaim as sacred assemblies. Work may be done for 6 days, but on the 7th day there must be a Sabbath of complete rest, a sacred assembly. You are not to do any work. It is a Sabbath to the Lord, wherever you live. These are the Lord's appointed times, the sacred assemblies you are to proclaim at their appointed times. The Passover to the Lord comes in the 1st month, at twilight on the 14th day of the month. The festival of unleavened bread to the Lord is on the 15th day of the same month. For 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. On the 1st day you are to hold a sacred assembly. You are not to do any daily work. You are to present a fire offering to the Lord for 7 days. On the 7th day there will be a sacred assembly. You must not do any daily work." The Lord spoke to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, when you enter the land I am giving you and reap its harvest, you are to bring the first sheaf of your harvest to the priests. He will wave the sheaf before the Lord so that you may be accepted. The priest is to wave it on the day after the Sabbath. On the day you wave the sheaf, you are to offer a year-old male lamb without blemish as a burnt offering to the Lord. Its grain offering is to be 4 quarts of fine flour mixed with oil as a fire offering to the Lord, a pleasing aroma. And its drink offering will be 1 quart of wine. You must not eat bread, roasted grain, or any new grain until this very day, and until you have brought the offering to your God. This is to be a permanent statute throughout your generations, wherever you live. You are to count 7 complete weeks, starting from the day after the Sabbath, the day you brought the sheaf of the presentation offering. You are to count 50 days until the day after the 7th Sabbath, and then present an offering of new grain to the Lord. Bring 2 loaves of bread from your settlements as a presentation offering, each of them made from 4 quarts of fine flour, baked with yeast, as first fruits to the Lord. You are to present with the bread 7 unblemished male lambs, a year old, 1 young bull, and 2 rams. They will be a burnt offering to the Lord. With their grain offerings and drink offerings, a fire offering of a pleasing aroma to the Lord. You are to prepare 1 male goat as a sin offering, and 2 male lambs, a year old, as a fellowship sacrifice. The priest will wave the lambs with the bread of first fruits as a presentation offering before the Lord. The bread and the 2 lambs will be holy to the Lord for the priests. On the same day you are to make a proclamation and hold a sacred assembly. You are also to prepare 1 male goat as a sin offering. and 2 male lambs a year old as a fellowship sacrifice. The priest will wave the lambs with the bread of first fruits as a presentation offering before the Lord. The bread and the 2 lambs will be holy to the Lord for the priest. On the same day you are to make a proclamation and hold a sacred assembly. You are not to do any daily work. This is to be a permanent statute wherever you live throughout your generations. When you reap the harvest of your land, you are not to reap all the way to the edge of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. Leave them for the poor and for the foreign resident. I am the Lord your God. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, in the 7th month on the first day of the month, you are to have a day of complete rest, commemoration, and joyful shouting, a sacred assembly. You must not do any daily work, but you must present a fire offering to the Lord." The Lord spoke to Moses again. "The 10th day of the 7th month is the Day of Atonement. You are to hold a sacred assembly and practice self-denial. You are to present a fire offering to the Lord. On this particular day you are not to do any work, for it is a day of atonement, to make atonement for yourselves before the Lord your God. If any person does not practice self-denial on this particular day, he must be cut off from his people. I will destroy among his people anyone who does any work on this same day. You are not to do any work. This is a permanent statute throughout your generations, wherever you live. It will be a Sabbath of complete rest for you, and you must practice self-denial. You are to observe your Sabbath from the evening of the 9th day of the month until the following evening." The Lord spoke to Moses, "Tell the Israelites, the festival of booths to the Lord begins on the 15th day of the 7th month and continues for 7 days. There is to be a sacred assembly on the first day. You are not to do any daily work. You are to present a fire offering to the Lord for 7 days. On the 8th day you are to hold a sacred assembly and present a fire offering to the Lord. It is a solemn gathering. You are not to do any daily work. These are the Lord's appointed times that you are to proclaim as sacred assemblies for presenting fire offerings to the Lord, burnt offerings and grain offerings, sacrifices and drink offerings, each on its designated day. These are in addition to the offerings for the Lord's Sabbaths, your gifts, all your vow offerings, and all your free will offerings that you give the Lord. You are to celebrate the Lord's festival on the 15th day of the 7th month for 7 days after you have gathered to produce the produce of the land. There will be complete rest on the first day and complete rest on the 8th day. On the first day you are to take the product of majestic trees, palm fronds, boughs of leafy trees, and willows of the brook, and rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. You are to celebrate it as a festival to the Lord 7 days each year. This is a permanent statute for you throughout your generations. You must celebrate it in the 7th month. You are to live in booths for 7 days. All the native born of Israel must live in booths, so that your generations may know that I made the Israelites live in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." So Moses declared the Lord's appointed times to the Israelites.